Okay, Inonge is going to be banned from being camera woman after this. The devil got into Inonge and like...
I know. She mentioned the devil, and then my thumb was like, boom.
The devil.
I was like, that's the devil talking.
So
he doesn't want you to know he exists.
Yeah, exactly. So what I was trying to say.
Delete. I censor you.
This is CCP algorithm. I mean the devil. What you are saying is unacceptable. Anyway.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so yeah, one of the biggest tricks the devil has pulled is convincing the world that he doesn't exist. And we look at all of these, like when you look at ancient cultures and indigenous cultures, and you see them drinking blood and sacrificing people, and we think that stuff has stopped. We think that it's not even like a question of whether that this is happening, whether people are capable of it. It's the fact that they brainwashed us, and they've gone underground, they've gone incognito, and they're and then we say, oh, that was back in the old days. Like, people don't do that now. We're much more civilized. Like, people don't drink blood, and people don't blah blah blah. But they found more sophisticated ways to do it. Like, you heard about the HEK cells, the human embryonic kidney cells, where they basically it's a flavoring that they use for a lot of junk food. Now I just realized all the junk food we ate. Oh no! Okay.
They're all cannibals.
Yeah. So basically,
they force us to be cannibals.
Yeah, they're putting these cells in our food, which is basically aborted baby. Look up HEK 237 cells, human embryonic kidney cells 237. They're used as food flavoring. It's really disturbing. Sorry guys, I didn't mean to
Do they have to, or is that just?
No, they don't have to. They can use like salt. They can use seasoning. They have herbs and stuff. But they were just but it makes the food more addictive. But they've also tried other flavorings. You can do it with insects, you can do it with other stuff, but they choose to use this one human embryonic kidneys trained cells of baby, because when babies are aborted, they're used for different things too. They're not just
for vaccines.
Yeah, vaccine. Well,
some vaccines.
From what I understand with the vaccines, what they do is they get a certain amount of babies, and then they just basically regrow the cell lines so I don't think the modern day I think they just started a new strain because they found out that the cells that they kept doing, like since the 1960s. If you guys go back, I think 2 or 3 weekends ago, you guys can look at the Stanley Plotkin deposition that I posted, and he's talking about like the amount of 74 babies or something like that that were murdered to make this cell line for vaccines. And so basically what they do, they just renew them, or
they
create them.
They keep growing.
They keep growing, but they also know in the scientific community, they know that these cells become tumorigenic. So now there's been papers and data written about the cells being tumorigenic, even though they're still using them, okay? Even though they know that they're tumorigenic and cause cancer. So now they're like, oh, we have to get a new cell line. So I think since then they've gotten some new cell lines. So not every aborted.
So if they become tumorigenic, that means those cells themselves have some sort of intelligence in them.
Yeah. It's interesting, right?
Yeah. They have. Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, the more I learn about the human body, and it's just made me know that there's a God, there's a higher intelligence.
And we should probably just leave our bodies alone.
Yeah.
Just leave us alone.
I have 3 of my great aunts were all RNs and for years, and I would listen to them talk about some of this stuff when I was a kid, but I didn't know. I thought they were weird because they were very standoffish. They didn't really like children. They didn't have children of their own, and I couldn't really relate to them, but they were just very I remember a few conversations over here. Anyway, they were talking about like transplants and how they thought it was a form of cannibalism, and I was like,
the first time I heard about that, I thought that is cannibalism, because it's taking another human's body into your own and integrating it into your own body in order to survive.
That's what they said, and I thought they were out their fucking mind. I thought they were crazy. I never said that. I'm not gonna be like, yeah, I'm like a kid.
But I came to that conclusion on my own.
Well, you're just smart, I guess.
I am. I'm smart.
But in my mind, though, I'm thinking, oh, but we need transplants because people have hearts and kidneys and maybe livers and stuff
I'm
like
just
that.
kind of like, so you know how
I'm not judging people that get that done. I'm just saying. I just think
but
it's an interesting thought.
do you know how in popular culture, like in society, if you don't want to donate your organs, then you're shamed, or a lot of people are actually shamed into like, you know, agreeing to donate their organs.
Yeah, I don't
because
do that.
it's like that's the new morality.
Plus,
right?
they'll kill. You know, they'll kill you faster. They won't work on you if you have an accident.
Right.
And stuff. The incentive for the hospital to revive you is like lowered because they can sell your organs. So I didn't sign up. And when I got my last license renewed and stuff, I used to sign up for it because I was just like, oh, I'm giving back to science, to society. And no, I don't do that anymore. And God forbid if I were ever sick, I'd probably just die. I wouldn't want my organ.
Yeah, and that's not to say that there's anything bad about people who have transplants. Like, we're not saying, oh, you have a heart transplant, kidney, kidneys, a person doesn't have to die for you to get a kidney transplant. But, you know, these other transplants, we're not saying that you're wrong, immoral, there's something wrong with you if you received a transplant. Yeah. We're just talking about the big picture where it's marketed in a way that if you don't want to donate your organs, that somehow you are an immoral person. Well, like it's like even with when it comes to death, because a person can be brain dead, but their body can be kept alive for decades, right? But they're brain dead; they're never coming back. But because we're so attached to our bodies, and so many of us don't believe in God or a higher power, and we don't believe that there's anything after this, we get too attached to this world, and then we can wind up committing atrocities on other people because we're so attached. Yeah. And I've noticed there's this like whole new genre of like movies and literature that talk about people, like technology enabling people to take over the body of somebody else. Right, like there are more and more movies and shows about that. Like I saw one recently. It's a French show. I saw it on Netflix. It's called Transfers. It's really good, but it's basically this moral issue. If you have the money and the technology exists, you can take over somebody else's body if your body is failing. You know. This is crazy. All right. That was a close call.
All right. I was gonna go. I had a plan B.
Oh,
okay. I was gonna go over there, but we can fit between the little things.
Yeah, you saw my face when I think we're gonna have an accident. It was Inonge's potential accident face. Oh no!
Yeah. It was. So it was funny because what was I gonna say? Well, I just want to go back to the even bigger picture. So to me, the even bigger picture about people getting transplants and surgeries and stuff and for me, surgery is a last resort. I've had a few surgeries for my health, and anytime they cut you open, there's so many risk factors, and not even with the surgery being successful in the moment, but later on down the line with scar tissue developing and all this other stuff. Personally, it just depends. I'm not saying I'll never ever have a surgery, but that would be my very last resort, especially knowing a lot of the stuff that I don't know. But what I want to say with the transplants and bigger picture, I mean, if I had a kid that had a heart issue, I don't know. I'd probably want to get a transplant because that's my, you know what I mean. I'm not like, again, I just don't want you guys to think I'm judging. I'm just putting thoughts out there, you know. But the bigger picture is the pharmaceutical industry and how basically they're causing all of these problems that we have, and how a lot of this is it's iatrogenic, meaning the doctors, or not the doctors, but the system is causing it. Whether it's the baby got cancer because of vaccines, or somebody, or because of the sonograms, or because of like I was looking at Realism. I was telling. We were listening to this lecture by one of my favorite doctors I follow named Suzanne Humphreys, and she was talking about multifactorial situations that could cause people to be diagnosed with polio in the 50s, and that's a whole nother, it's a long thing, but one of the main things she was talking about was like, birthing, right, and breastfeeding. So breastfeeding, right, is breast milk is a living organism. It changes, it ages with the baby. It has stem cells and probiotics in it. It's phenomenal. It's amazing. It kills. You basically put like breast milk in a petri dish of bacteria. It's like a nuclear bomb. It just like obliterates it. It's amazing. So she was talking about that. She was talking about, I think she meant, I think